trigger warning for essay in this one, but the title is, Am I the asshole for telling my sister as her surrogate that her husband can't be in the room while I'm in labor?
Oh, no. The trigger warning paired with this title is very...
I will say, like, it's bad, but it's not as bad as where you're going, I think.
Okay.
It's not the bad you're going to, I believe. So.
Very stressful.
And for this one, Sean, I'm not even going to put us through the
hypothesis section. Yeah.
Yeah. With the trigger warning, I don't think it's, probably proper to speculate on this.
I think that's a good thing to do going forward. If there's a trigger warning, not worth a hypothesis.
Save us all the problematic issues. Yeah. So we'll just hop into it. So I, 30 female, told my sister, 34, that I don't feel comfortable with her husband being in the room while I give birth to their child. My sister's been engaged to her husband for about 6 years now. And ever since she was a teenager, she's always expressed the want to have a family. About 3 years ago, my sister found out she was infertile after trying for a kid over a year. This was obviously devastating for her, and as her sister, I felt horrible. Maybe a year ago, she had started seeking out surrogates. But after being unsuccessful, she resorted to asking me. At first, I was hesitant, but as her sister, I hated to see her so desperate for a child, so I told her I'd be open and willing with no expense. I want to make it clear that I never had an issue with her husband, but I made it very clear to my sister before I became her surrogate that I do not want any men in the room during labor, as I was a previous SA victim in which I was taken advantage of by multiple men, while purposely put under the influence, which was extremely traumatic, and I am still recovering. My sister had agreed to having her husband wait outside, and so I was okay with it as well. But about a month before my due date, her husband called and asked me if I had requested him not to be in the room during child labor. I had explained to him that I did, and it was no personal issue I had with him, and that having any men around me during a state of vulnerability, like child labor, would be extremely triggering, which is,
fair.
Yeah, absolutely okay. And we always say there's like child labor, the woman decides who's in the room, because that is a very vulnerable state to be in.
Yeah.
He quickly got mad and said that I don't have the right nor the say in determining whether or not he as the father can be in the room. I told him I wouldn't change my mind, and that even though it was his kid, that I was the one giving birth.
I gotta say, a very reasonable explanation was given to this guy.
Yes. And it was stated at the beginning of this whole thing as well.
So, I mean, kind of on the sister, I guess, for not communicating that to her spouse, but also any normal person would have been like, heard, gotcha, of course.
Yeah. I just want a kid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And then to be in that situation, and then you think getting mad is going to be the answer.
Yeah.
That never makes sense.
Yeah, you think that's going to make her want you in the room more?
Oh, I'm much more comfortable now that you've yelled at me over a decision that I've made and made clear
Insane.
8 months ago.
I'm doing a favor for you.
Also, this is completely pro bono for you, brother. I just have one request. So truly, this guy is not great right off the bat, I think.
Yeah, sucks.
How is that a response after being given that information?
Yeah.
To be like, yeah, fuck all that. What about me? Is so fucking selfish.
What about me though?
Yeah.
Like, dude, on the totem poles of who's important in this, you are fourth on the list of the people involved in the story. It goes OP,
baby,
the baby, your wife, and then you.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I guess you guys could be tied at the bottom. I don't know, truly, but yeah.
Yeah. I don't.
Absolutely insane.
Just like, when you're reading that to me, I'm just like, oh my God, that's so fucking terrible. And then this guy, how can you not think that when you hear that story? I don't know how you could immediately go into, what about me though? Is just fucking despicable.
Zero empathy. He continued to scream at me and abruptly hung up. Later on in the day, my sister had come to my house accusing me of disrespecting her husband and saying that after a lot of thinking, she thought it to be unfair and ignorant to ban her husband from seeing me give birth to their child.
it's not her fault you didn't communicate to your husband.
No.
This was
all on you.
Made known immediately. This is insane behavior.
Yeah. I then yelled at her, telling her that it was cruel and selfish how she was willing to let her husband in the room after knowing everything I had gone through previously with assault. She then basically told me that after her baby was born, she'd stopped talking to me for good. It's now currently 2 weeks before my due date, and I'm very persistent about not having any men in the room. And quite frankly, I'm fine with not speaking to my sister if she continues to be closed-minded.
I was going to say,
am I the asshole?
She might be giving you a blessing in disguise here.
Yeah.
Because I just don't know how anybody is thinking you're in the wrong here.
No one does, to be clear.
Yeah, no. Oh, I'm talking about like OP's sister and like how can they be so selfish? It's truly crazy to me because it's last resort. Agreed. Just one thing. I only need one thing. I'm not charging you any money. I just one single.
I will now.
Request.
I would now.
Yeah. The way I'd be like, you know what? I think I am ready to be a mother. Just out of spite, which probably isn't good. That's not the answer. But I
don't think it's not the answer.
Also, it's just like, I honestly, if my sibling did this to me, I would truly be like, okay, I hope you don't ever talk to me again because this is fucking actually insane that you're talking to me like this and saying he disrespected me. I shared a very vulnerable story and gave him a very reasonable reason for my one singular request. And then what about Mead? Just what about blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter.
Insane.
Oh, so terrible. I don't know, like, if I was in this situation, I don't know what I would do. Because obviously, it sounds like OP is not trying to be a mom. And then also, I would be like, do I want these two psychopaths raising a child? That seems true. That seems like a bad situation for the kid now at this point. So I would be so conflicted. I think it's talk to a lawyer. Yeah, I don't know. And then I don't want the baby to go, because I feel like the foster system is not great. What is the solution here? That's so tough. I don't know.
Well, like I hinted at, Reddit deemed not the asshole.
Yeah.
Garden Party Crasher said the amount of people on Reddit who choose to be a surrogate for a family without a contract and then are surprised it goes south is wild. Pregnancy is a rough time for a happily married couple for whom everything goes off without a hitch. Adding in family drama plus hormones plus emotional turmoil from infertility is a recipe for disaster. And I mean, this is not to blame OP. This is on both sides of not doing a contract. PSA for anyone who's thinking about getting into this contract or anything like this, because it's just saves so much headache in the long run. And then you can just point to the contract and be like, hey, you signed this. You said you wouldn't be in the room. That's on you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So just to protect yourself is kind of what I'm getting at there. But yes, I also agree, not the asshole at all. The audacity of your fucking sister and husband is insane. If it were me, I'd talk immediately to a lawyer and try and figure out how can I, put up safeguards for myself.
Therapy. I don't know how to read. It's therapy.